Well, there are a lot of things to check for before you buy a house, but one thing that you might not even think to do is check whether it was used as a meth lab. Any house that meth has been used in, made in, or stored in can be considered a meth lab. The Colorado Public Health Department keeps a list of all the ones that have been reported, and that list was created in 2023 and already has more than 700 properties on it. Meth can cause serious health problems if touched or ingested, but many homeowners would not even think to test for that. Kathy McCarty from the Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance is joining us this morning, opening a lot of our eyes this morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you actually work with HOAs and real estate groups to kind of inform them and make them aware that this is something that everybody needs to be looking for.
I'm working with affiliates of all areas of a real estate transaction and professionals of all types.
How did you become an expert yourself?
Well, I get that question asked a lot, and actually my home was personally impacted by meth contamination.
Wow.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Here along the Front Range.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, in 2016, briefly, I had a serious health event, and I lived there with my two teenage sons, and when my youngest then went off to college, I decided to rent my home temporarily, putting all the right provisions in place of insurance and property management professional and things like that, and within 90 days of that tenant moving in, I had learned that he had actually set up a meth lab and destroyed my home beyond repair.
Wow, wow. So let's talk about the aftermath here. What are some of the effects of contamination?
Sure. The effects are tenfold. There are significant health effects. Meth can happen not only from the manufacturing, but just from the consumption by smoking meth. The residue that's left over becomes airborne, and wherever air travels, meth residue stays, and it doesn't dissipate over time. So it's very, very important to avoid it through prevention. And the health events can be minor, depending upon the exposure, to very serious health events. Even ultimately, somebody could die.
Absolutely. You know, I'm somebody that once I hear this, now I'm skeptical of every place, you know, I walk into, and I know I'm not alone in that. A lot of people at home are wondering if their home has ever been used as a meth lab before. How do you know if that's the case? What are the signs you look for?
Well, sometimes there are signs, those traditional where the home may have staining or smells, or maybe there's paraphernalia, chemicals, equipment left over. But in the case of even my home, after the tenant had left, there was really no physical signs. You couldn't smell it, you can't see it, and it leaves a residue. So really the only way to learn about it is to test.
And once you do test and you do figure out maybe it did happen in your home, what are the next steps? What do you do after that?
Sure. The professionals here in the state of Colorado that are certified to test will then pass that test on to remediators, state certified remediators who work on a plan, a scope of work to help eradicate and remediate that meth to within the state levels. So if it can be remediated.
Right, and in your case, you said your home couldn't.
It couldn't. The damage was so significant, and my property was unique because it was a cabin. Wood is very porous. There was no drywall. Sometimes you can gut a home completely and rebuild it, and in my case, that couldn't be done.
Okay, let me ask, I want to go back to the testing phase because I wouldn't even know where to begin if I want to get that tested. Who do you call?
Sure. There were 100 huge hurdles for me, certainly in those first 100 days, and I started by calling dozens of meth testing companies. I went to Google and learned a lot about what the impacts of the toxins that were left over after the tenant left, and I basically asked a lot of questions, and I received some great expert advice from those professionals in the industry.
And does insurance help you out at all with this?
I had not known about this, especially even in my previous career, but no, there are exclusions within our insurance policy standard for contaminants, and meth contamination is one of them. And so on the rarest occasion, even whether it's a commercial property or residential, may be covered, but in most cases it is not. There's exclusions. And then I also learned that you really can't buy a separate endorsement to cover meth contamination, or in my case, I leaned on the tenant's policy also, but because of his criminal actions, that policy was also declined because he committed a crime that caused the damage.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's another exclusion.
Thank you for opening up our eyes. I mean, this is something that we really hadn't considered before.
I wish I could see everyone at home. I want to say how many people are going to get their homes
Right.
tested now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, actually, in early 2023, that first quarter, meth contamination got a lot of press here locally with our libraries and some of our other public spaces. But it was early, and it went all the way from Boulder, way even down to Pueblo, where in an abundance of caution, other libraries were tested, and some of them were found to be contaminated, and bus stations.
I remember all of that. Well, Kathy, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it very much.
Sure. Thank you for having me.